Hey everybody, some gadget guy, somegadgetguy.com here. And one of the things I've been very impressed with on the Surface 2 is the versatility of the design. The kickstand is pretty cool. And then there's this little attachment down at the bottom, which allows you to connect the wonderful type and touch covers. I actually don't even have a type or a touch cover yet. I've been using a Bluetooth keyboard, but I did get one of the music kits to play with. And I wanted to walk you around all of the features of this hardware software combination that Microsoft has here. It's not even really available to buy just yet, but they've sent out a number of them to people through a contest and then to some of us reviewers. And I just thought it would be fun to look at some of the features of the Microsoft Surface Music Kit. And so the outer covering is it's almost got sort of a wool-like texture, but it's a very soft, almost kind of fuzzy texture, which is nice because it doesn't slide around as much as maybe like a more plasticky or glossy surface might. I kind of wish that there were maybe a little pads that would kind of grip better. But on the whole, this does a pretty good job of keeping your surface in place. And of course, those little magnet activation sensors are built into this cover so that when you open it, it automatically turns the screen on your Surface on. When you connect the blade to the Surface, it automatically fires up the Music Kit app. Now, just with like the type and touch covers, it is pretty incredible just how powerful this magnet is. So if I just I don't even have to really touch them together and the two just connect. It's a wonderful, snappy feeling. So just walking around the hardware here for the Surface Music Kit Blade, it's very much sort of a sampler sequencer is what you're gonna get on the software side. And so this is an area where you can program in individual instruments or samples or tracks so that as you're going through your timeline, you can hit individual buttons and sound effects and music will play out from those individual little boxes and squares there. We have real-time faders. This is a filtering effect, which is sort of like an LFO. This is an echo or a reverb fader right here. And then this is your sort of general volume, controlling how loud or soft a track or your entire project is. This is the record button. This is your play and pause button, obviously. These are undo and redo buttons so that if you're making adjustments or making edits, you can always undo them or redo them. This is a solo button. So say you're going through a number of your different samples and you just want to hear one instrument, see how that one instrument lines up. You hold down this, you hold down one of the pre-programmed sound effects that you're playing with, and only that one will play. Or if you want, you can use this to mute an individual track. This little guy right here gives you more information as to what's happening in your project. So if you want to see if elements are fading out properly or if your filtering effects are fading in and out properly, you go to that guy. And then this gives you just sort of a highlighted view. So if you hold down this button, then you hold down 2, you'll see your 2-track pop up with more information. You can actually see the waveform of the file, and we'll get into some of that a little bit later. And so the Music Kit Blade is backlit. So as you open it up, it gives you a little flourish. I want to do that again. It's that little light flourish just to let you know where all your controls are, and then it remembers what your last project settings are. And so this is the timeline layout for the Surface Music Kit app. It works very much in terms of samples. And so typically you're only going to see these little sort of lines as you move throughout your project timeline. And anytime you want to tap on something, you can pull up a waveform so you can get a more detailed view of what's happening in that one spot where you've sort of indicated you want more information by tapping on the screen. You can program a number of different instruments into your timeline, and they all show up as their own sort of individual tracks. And then as you go through playing or recording, hitting these buttons gives you the ability to, sort of play in real time. So you could program out a track like a bed of music, or just like your drum tracks, or just sort of a simple synth, and then program these to be individual instrument hits so that you can play them in real time. So I've got 5 sounds programmed in right now, and at any time I can hit 1 through 5 here on the number pad just to play an individual sound. Or let's see what I've got on track 4. This is sort of an ambient synthesizer sort of echoey thing. And I'm not much of a musician, but this is very much like the classic days of playing with like Fruity Loops or with acid music, when you would get kits that you could program and play with so that you could sort of paint your own music. This is very much like what you can do here. And at any time you can zoom in, tap, and then move sounds around to line them up exactly where you want them to hit. which is pretty cool. It's a very responsive and it's a very fluid UI. It's very simplified for a lot of you folks out there who might be doing synthesizer-based music or remixing, or you're working on traditional hardware solutions. But this is still a really fun solution considering that it's tied to this tablet-like environment. Usually our tablets become control surfaces for other pieces of hardware. Now we've got a piece of hardware custom built to actually allow our tablet to engage in this kind of functionality. When you fire up the Surface Music Kit app, you're going to see what projects you've most recently been working on, and then they've got a number of templates that you can download. Unfortunately, I can't really play through a lot of those templates because most of them are licensed and copyrighted material that will instantly send Google after me via their copyright content ID filtering protocols. But just to show you, so if we want to download content, and I've downloaded almost all of the little music kits and packs just to play with it for myself that you can get. I mean, Incubus has supplied stuff, Lewis, I don't know who Kissy Girls is, but I downloaded their kit. Pulse, Shining Star, Firelight. I mean, so there have already been a number of little packs and kits that have been made available for people with the music kit to get in there and play with content creation, music remixing, and it all gets downloaded into some place where you can then insert it into your project. Now, for the little test file that I've been playing with here, if I want to import, so if we go to sounds, now we have an entirely new menu for scrolling through various sound effects, through various music kit pieces. You can filter over into kits, and then you can see, oh, well, I'm looking for classical sound effects. I can go in through there, or I can go in and search for things. But the funny thing is about going for search is you've replaced your keyboard blade with a music creation blade. So you then have to go back out to your screen to use the keyboard on your screen. So the files that I'm playing with right now, just so hopefully I don't get hit with some sort of copyright violation on Google and YouTube, are sound effects that I imported from in a music kit that I used to use back with Acid. So I took all of the little Acid sound file loops and I imported them into the sound collection here. You can always import a file. You can go and find files on your computer. And so you can also see things like there are one-shots. You know, they have a file for clips, but I don't know exactly what clips are. So nothing shows up under clips. Music stems, you can find individual stems that way, full-on kits, etc., etc. You can always go to all sounds, or if you've imported files, you can hit imports, just like the files that I've imported that are now here in the project that I'm playing with. And in this section right here, we can also do things like if we want to save our project, export it, control our tempo. Those are features that are accessible throughout all of our little menu bar here. And then if we want to do things like clear effects, we can do that too. So just the sort of normal pinch and pull for zooming and zooming out of your entire project file. And then we can move our drop cursor at any point by hitting this little bar at the top. And it's organized in 4/4, but you can change tempo, you can speed it up, slow it down, and you'll see sort of on beat, off beat, and what measure and what bar of that measure you're in. And then these controls up here give you access to things like whether or not you're using that specialty filter, if you're using any of the echo, and what your volume's set at. Obviously nothing's playing right now, so it's showing my volume's at 0. Oh, and we can also see things too. So like if I want to see what's going on with the project, we can see where a fade out happened right there, which brought my volume down to 0 right around measure 41. And so now I'm adding on to the end of the project. I'm going to start something at around measure 53 so that we're going to bring that volume back up there. And then you can also see things like what your project echoes at and what that low pass filter is doing, all in this little this specialty information window right there. And then at any point you can say, so if I want to see more information on sample 5, I can hit this button and hit sample 5, and we can see that waveform pop up across the track just so that we know what that looks like. Same thing if I want to go to 4, 3, 2, 1. It's a really easy way to get sort of an expanded view on a piece of audio information. Same thing if I want to solo a track. So I've got music playing right here, but I can solo that by hitting, let's just solo the drums. And I can open it back up. And anytime something's playing off of one of the tracks, it lights up on the blade. So right now it's 2, 4, 5. 2, 4, 5 are lit up on the blade, which is really, really cool. And then recording is just as easy. So I'm gonna hit, here, let's gonna move this out to like measure 60. So we're gonna hit record and I'm gonna raise the volume back up. And then it measures 69. I'm gonna hit my drum track again. Just a second, wait for it, wait for it. Now we've got that drum track lined up. And here at 73, we're gonna get that lined up right there. And I'm gonna go ahead and stop recording. So now I can bring this back to right here. And then just so you can hear what the filtering effect sounds like if I just play this. I mean, that wasn't the smoothest transition right there just because I'm trying to run the camera and use this blade at the same time. But it actually works really well as you're going through, and you can bring up this kind of information to see if you're going to start messing with that echo. You'll start seeing that filter show up in sort of an enveloping tool, which is pretty sweet. And then as another nice touch, these individual control surfaces are pressure sensitive. So you can program your synthesizer to respond to how hard you're hitting each of these individual keys. You know, if you just want like sort of light taps, it'll give you very quiet responses, and then you can really mash your fingers in there to get even louder, more aggressive noises and sounds out of the blade itself. And while the layout for the timeline is hyper simplified, the actual individual controls and editing that you can do on each individual clip is actually pretty detailed. You can do things like having auto repeats, to play only while pressing, so you can hold down so that it'll only play while you're holding down an individual button while you're recording. Here's that pressure sensitivity if you want to use pressure on the pads to control how loud or how quiet one of these clips comes in. If you just want to dial a clip back, so this is an 8-bar clip, I can bring it back to a 4-bar clip. Just cut it right in half right from this interface, or choose exactly what window or what envelope I want to use. You can match tempo to the project, or you can also correct your tempo project for the individual clips, because a lot of these music kit clips have the tempo sort of baked into the metadata. You can also make sure that they harmonize to match the project, or you can adjust the pitch manually if you want to change that pitch. And you can even do things like snap to bar, so you can make sure that as you're moving these around, they'll snap to the individual measures if you have the clips sliced up at the right tempos and the right measure markings. This is actually a pretty well fleshed out way to do nonlinear audio editing. There is no way I found to do a direct recording within this interface, like say you want to plug in a microphone and have someone doing vocals while you're giving them this sort of backing track underneath them. That seems to be a little more advanced than what we're playing with a sequencer sampler like this. But once you import individual sound files into this workflow, you've got a pretty decent number of controls to make sure you get the output that you're looking for. It's a very novel solution for creating that musical sketch pad that we all try and play with on the various apps that we've tried on other tablets and services, and this works in a very clean fashion with a dedicated hardware interface. I think that's one of the things that we're sort of overlooking with our fascination with touchscreens, is if you got used to recording music or recording audio on a proper mixer or channel strips or a control surface, you're used to tactile controls which help you navigate surfaces and navigate areas quickly without having to constantly look at the controls that you're trying to use. You can focus on what you're actually recording, and you can sort of through touch navigate certain things that help you control what's happening without having to dedicate your focus to looking at your controls. I really, really hope this is the beginning of new purpose-built customized accessories for specific working environments. Like, especially for those of you on a Surface Pro, I think having a blade like this, which could control Photoshop or could control Adobe Premiere, purpose-built controls so that you didn't have to learn new keyboard commands and then touch the screen and then find menus buried in. If you could go right to certain tool sets directly from a control surface like this, I think that would improve the workflow, especially for people who are buying tablets and hybrids and laptops for very specific needs. So folks, this has been a rather rambling look at the Surface Music Kit. with the Blade and the software that you get with the Blade. I don't know when these are going to be officially on sale. There's a little, there is a link for them on the Surface website, but there is no purchasing information as of yet. But I do hope they make it out into the ecosystem, because I think a lot of people are going to have fun with a solution like this. And hopefully this will spur further innovation for other types of professional usage scenarios where we can come up with custom blades to satisfy those usage needs. So folks, thanks for watching. Thanks for sharing my videos. You guys have been rock stars. I've been seeing a ton of additional traffic, new subscribers. I just really want to say thank you as we wrap up the year, because you guys have been awesome. And I've got a lot of exciting stuff planned for the coming weeks, the coming months, the coming year. So thanks so much for watching, and I will catch you all on the next review.